phospholipid based second messengers. So diagram A is a generalized phospholipid structure. Phospholipids are subject to attack by 4 types of phospholipases that cleave the molecule at the indicated sites. Of these enzymes, we will focus on PLC, which is phospholipase C, which splits the phosphorylated head group from the diacetyl glycerol. This diagram B shows the interaction between a pH domain that binds to the phosphorylated ionositol ring of a phosphoinositoid. This interaction tethers the protein to the inner surface of the plasma membrane and may alter the activity of the parent protein. And this diagram C is the fluorescence micrograph of a cell that has been stimulated to move toward a chemoattractant. This cell has been stained with an antibody that binds specifically to the PI345 triphosphate, that is PIP3, which is seen to be localized at the leading edge of the migrating cell. Many G proteins use ionositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol as second messengers. INSP3 is generated from phosphatidyl ionositol 4,5-biphosphate PIP2, relatively uncommon membrane phospholipid. When the enzyme phospholipase C is activated, phospholipase C cleaves PIP2 into 2 molecules, ionositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol. The generation of second messengers as a result of ligand-induced breakdown of phosphoinositides in the lipid bilayer. In steps 1 and 2, phosphate groups are added by lipid kinases to phosphatidyl ionositol to form PIP2. When a stimulus is received by the receptor, the ligand-bound receptor activates a heteromeric G protein containing G-alpha subunit, step 3. This G-alpha subunit activates the enzyme PI-specific phospholipase C. This phospholipase C catalyzes the reaction in which PIP2 is split into DAG and IP3, that is ionositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol. Not all ionositol containing second messengers remain in the lipid bilayer of a membrane. When an acetylcholine binds to a smooth muscle cell or an antigen binds to a mast cell, the bound receptor activates a heteromeric G protein, which in turn activates the effector phosphatidyl ionositol specific phospholipase. And like the protein depicted in the figure, PLC beta situated in the inner surface of the membrane, bound thereby interaction between its pH domain and phosphoinositide embedded in the bilayer. PLC then catalyzes the reaction that splits phosphoinositide into DAG and IP3, that is ionositol 1,4,5-triphosphate. This is step 5. Both of these DAG and IP3 plays an important role as second messengers in cell signaling. Diacylglycerol is a lipid molecule that remains in the plasma membrane following its formation by phospholipase C. There it recruits and activates effector proteins that bears a DAG binding C1 domain. DAG recruits the protein kinase C to the membrane and activates the enzyme. This is the step 6. Protein kinase C phosphorylate serine and threonine residues on a wide variety of target proteins. Protein kinase C isoforms have a number of important roles in cellular growth and differentiation, cellular metabolism, cell death, and immune responses. The apparent importance of protein kinase C in growth control is seen in the studies with a group of powerful plant compounds called phospholesters that resemble DAG. These compounds activate protein kinase C isoforms in a variety of cultured cells, causing them to lose growth control and behave temporarily as malignant cells. When the phospholester is removed from the medium, the cells recover their normal growth properties. In contrast, cells that have been genetically engineered to constitutively express the protein kinase C exhibit a permanent malignant phenotype in cell culture and can cause tumors in susceptible mice. Inositol 1,4,5-triphosphates (IP3) is a sugar phosphate, a small water molecule, which is soluble, capable of rapid diffusion throughout the interior cell. IP3 molecules formed at the membrane diffuse into the cytosol and bind to a specific IP3 receptor located at the surface of smooth endoplasmic reticulum. It was noted that the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is a site of calcium storage in a variety of cells. The IP3 receptors also functions as a tetrameric calcium channel. Binding of IP3 opens the channel, allowing calcium ions to diffuse into the cytoplasm. Calcium ions can also be considered as intracellular or second messengers because they bind to various target molecules, triggering specific responses. Here the agonist could be hormones, neurotransmitters, or growth factors that trigger this pathway bind to receptors linked to G proteins, whereas others bind to receptor tyrosine kinases. In all cases, the crucial step is stimulation of membrane enzyme phospholipase C, which splits minor phospholipid component of the plasma membrane, phosphatidyl ionositol 1,4,5 biphosphate, PIP2, into two second messengers, that is diacylglycerol and INSP3, that is inositol 1,4,5 triphosphate. Diacylglycerol is confined to the membrane where it activates a phospholipid and calcium sensitive protein kinase called protein kinase C. This IP3 is water soluble and diffuses through the cytoplasm to trigger the release of calcium by binding to ligand-gated calcium channels in the limiting membranes of internal storage vesicles. Elevated calcium concentration resulting from IP3 promote opening of these channels promote the binding of calcium binding protein calmodulin, which regulates the activity of other enzymes including calcium-dependent protein kinases. With its multiple second messengers and protein kinases, the phosphoinositide signaling pathway is much more complex than the cyclic AMP pathway. For example, different cell types may contain one or more specialized calcium and calmodulin-dependent kinases with limited substrate specificity, example myosin light chain kinase, in addition to a general calcium and calmodulin-dependent kinase that can phosphorylate a wide variety of protein substrates. And furthermore, there are at least 9 structurally distinct types of protein kinase C which have been identified. As in the CAMP system, multiple mechanisms damp or terminate signaling by this pathway. IP3 is inactivated by phosphorylation. Diacylglycerol is either phosphorylated to phosphatidic acid, which is then converted back into phospholipids, or it is deacylated to yield arachidonic acid. Calcium is actively removed from the cytoplasm by calcium pumps. The roles of INSP3 and DAG as second messengers. Here the sequence begins with the binding of a ligand to its membrane receptor. When a receptor R is activated by binding of its ligand L on the outer surfaces of the plasma membrane, the receptor and ligand complex associates with the G protein GQ, causing the displacement of GDP by GTP and the dissociation of GTP G-alpha complex. Here the GTP G-alpha complex that binds to the phospholipase C, activating it and causing the cleavage of PIP2 into one molecule each of INSP3 and DAG. The INSP3 is released into the cytosol. This is here it is cleaved, and the INSP3 or inositol triphosphate is released into the cytosol, where it triggers the calcium release. And here the diacylglycerol is still left on the membrane. It remains in the membrane where it activates protein kinase C. While talking about the ion channel receptors, these are the cell surface receptors, which are also called as ligand-gated ion channels, enclose ion selective channels for sodium, potassium, calcium and chloride within their molecules. Agonist binding opens the channel and causes depolarization or hypopolarization or changes in cytosolic ionic composition depending on the ion that flows through. The nicotinic cholinergic GABA, glycine, excitatory AA glutamate, and 5-HT3 receptors fall in this category, and a large number of clinically useful drugs act through this type of receptors. The receptor is usually a pentameric protein. All subunits, in addition to large intra and extracellular segment, generally have 4 membrane spanning helical domains. The subunits are mostly arranged around the channel like Rosal, and alpha subunits usually bear the agonist binding site. Calcium. Intracellular calcium, another particularly well studied second messenger, offers several interesting comparisons with cyclic AMP. The release of calcium into the cytoplasm is mediated by diverse channels. Plasma membrane channels regulated by G proteins, membrane potential, potassium or calcium itself, and channels in specialized regions of endoplasmic reticulum that respond to second messenger ionosytol triphosphate, or in muscle to cell depolarization. And calcium is removed both by extrusion and by reuptake into the endoplasmic reticulum. Calcium propagates its signals through a much wider range of proteins than does cyclic AMP, including metabolic enzymes, protein kinases, and calcium ion binding regulatory proteins that regulate still other ultimate and intermediary effects. Calcium ions is generally termed as tertiary messengers. Many cells respond to extracellular stimuli by altering their intracellular calcium concentration. It acts in two ways. First is it binds to an effector molecule such as an enzyme activating it. Second way is it binds to an intermediary cytosolic calcium binding protein. The binding of calcium causes profound conformational changes in calmodulin that increase calmodulin's affinity for its effector molecules. Calmodulin, when activated, causes contraction of smooth muscles. The cytosolic calcium level is kept very low because abnormal elevation of cytosolic calcium concentration can occur in brain cells following a stroke, can lead to massive cell death. However, during calcium signaling events, calcium moves in and out of the cell, causing changes not only in intracellular calcium but also in local extracellular calcium. Although other proteins bind calcium to control activity, most often binding to the protein calmodulin to form a complex, that is calcium calmodulin complex, is an intermediate step. When calcium ions are present, two bind each globular end, that is 4 in total. A helical arm region then changes conformation and then the wraps around the calmodulin binding site of the target proteins. These are often protein kinases and protein phosphatases, which vary depending upon the target cell. Fertilization of animal eggs reveals an important example of calcium-mediated signal transduction after receptor-ligand interaction. Initially, the sperm binds the egg surface at the membrane, and within 30 seconds, a wave of calcium release spreads from the site of sperm contact. So, two main events in fertilization rely on calcium release. The first one is calcium stimulates the fusion of cortical granules with the egg's plasma membrane to alter the cord surrounding the egg to help prevent the binding of another sperm cell to the egg. This slow back to polyspermy. Calcium initiates egg activation and the resumption of metabolic processes. On glancing the structure and function of the calcium calmodulin complex, this calmodulin binds 4 calcium ions, and calmodulin changes conformation then, resulting in an active complex. The blue color is the blue dot is the target protein, and it is a calmodulin binding site where the calmodulin has wrapped around. The two globular hands of the complex wrap around a binding site on a targeted protein. Basically, calmodulin is a cytosolic calcium binding protein. The molecule consists of two globular ends joined by a helical region. Each end has 2 calcium binding sites. After binding calcium, calmodulin changes conformation and then can regulate target proteins.